everybody. All right, so I'm going to kind of talk about what Tupperware could do for you, right? So when I came into Tupperware 17 years ago, I actually sat right here on the, not on the counter, but I mean, like I was sitting right here at the counter, and I had a conversation with Pam, and we just did a good old fashioned pros and cons list, right? And when we were doing the pros and cons list about what Tupperware could do for me, one of the things I said to her, I was like, she's like, what is it that you need? And I said, I need to make $3,000 a month ASAP. I know it won't happen overnight, but this is what I need for my family. And so that was like that was one of the most important things to me. I was very clear about what my goals were coming in, and my goal was strictly financial, right? And so, but I understand a lot the average person that comes into Tupperware, they don't necessarily have a crystal clear goal. Sometimes their goal is just simply to get, some products for their kitchen. Maybe they just love the products. Maybe they're doing a favor for a friend. Lots of different reasons why people join Tupperware. But for me, it was strictly monetary, right? And since then, I've driven a company cart for 16 years. And so that helped out, even though that wasn't towards the 3,000, that was a bill that came out of money that we were paying out, right? And so we've taken trips, we've done things like that. We paid off our previous house, we paid it off with Tupperware money. We were able to choose to send our kids to private school. We didn't have to, that's just something that we chose. And the list goes on and on. And so what I want to ask you, and I want you to put it in the chat, what is your goal in Tupperware? And maybe it's changed, and maybe you don't know what it is, and that's totally okay. And that's okay if you say, just put a question mark in the chat. That's all right. And maybe your goals change. Maybe it's the same. Maybe your goal has always been the same from when you started, but you just haven't reached it. And that's okay too, right? So the thing is that I want to communicate here is that you can do that goal here, whatever that goal is. And sometimes when you start, you might have the same goal as you had when you started, but your route to get there now might look different. Maybe your circumstances are different, right? Maybe when you started, you were like, this is my goal, and I want to do in-home parties and all this. Maybe your circumstances have changed and you can't go and physically do in-home parties. Maybe when you started, you were like, I want to do virtual, I want to do social media, I see these people and I know I can do that. And again, maybe, you kind of have learned more about in-person stuff and you're like, I kind of want to do that. Like that looks cool to me. I want to, learn something about yourself, and you learned I need people. I need, human contact. I need that more in my life. And so you want to pivot and work your business more that direction. That's okay too, right? So it's funny because so many times when I'm working with people and I'm working to kind of talk to people about joining the business, and they'll say, oh, I can't do a business like that because I need money I can count on. Okay. I need money I can count on too, right? My bills come every month. I don't know about yours, but my bills come every month. And so you need to make money on purpose. And I remember the first time I heard Pam say that, and I'd been in the business several years. I was like, yeah, I make money on purpose. I get paid every single month, and I plan to get paid every single month, right? I start the month with the intention of like, yeah, that's a no brainer. I'm getting paid this month. That's not a question, right? And so you want to work your business on purpose because your bills are coming every month. So you want to make sure that paycheck's coming every single month. And I have known, I've been in this 17 years, and I have known more leaders in this business that at some point in the years that they've been in the business, they've been the sole income for their household. Because you can't really like go through life for X amount of years and not have an unemployment situation, something like that come up. It happened to us. My husband went through a period where he was unemployed and Tupperware was our sole income. And my business grew like crazy. It was very stressful. Don't get me wrong. Okay. It was a really stressful year, but our business grew like crazy because I was able to work like anytime I wanted. I didn't have to worry about childcare and all that stuff because my kids were, I don't James. I had James at the time. Like, how old were they? So James was a baby at the time, and so I had James. So James is home full time. The other two were in school, but it just kind of, it was really interesting time to be able to. I'd never like been able to work the business so freely and not have to worry about childcare. And it was just like a span of maybe 6 months that was that way, but it was just a really interesting time to be in the business and do that. But I'm not sure. I think more leaders than I know, than more leaders than I don't know, have experienced an unemployment in their situation when working in a Tupperware business. And so that's why we make money on purpose, right? And if we didn't make money on purpose, then we wouldn't be able to float our family during that time, right? So I want to just kind of encourage you and open your mind to the fact that this doesn't have to be your full-time income if that's not your goal, but it could do that in a pinch if that's what you're growing in that direction and you're making that money on purpose. So the bills come in every single month. So I want you to think about, like, is there a bill you could take over? Maybe that's your goal, right? Is there a bill in the house that you could take over? Start there, right? Can you take over a car payment? And would that take some stress off of your household, right? Would that take a stress off of your budget if you took over the car payment? Or maybe, you have a new driver coming up in your household, right? And your insurance is going to go up, and you're like, so maybe you can cover that overage in the insurance, right? Or maybe you're going to take over a credit card bill. But I don't know if you guys heard it. I heard Bonnie say that she's been paying the mortgage since she started Tupperware. That's the bill she chose to take over. Imagine if you could do that and be like, hey, babe, mortgage is on me. Right? How cool would that feel? Right? And just think about that, if your business could do something like that, and what that would mean for your family, and what would that mean for your budget. So put in the chat, what is a bill that you would love to be able to pay with your business? And it doesn't have to be a big bill. It could be a bill that only costs $100 bucks, right? It could be your cable bill or your internet bill, right? Whatever. But just start there, and be like, and just hold yourself accountable for that bill and being able to pay that bill every single month. And maybe it's a future bill, right? Maybe you need new tires coming up on the car. You're looking at the tread and you're like, those are kind of expensive. Or maybe you need new windows on your house or something like that. Maybe it's a future bill. I have at least 2 people on my team that I know of that they use their Tupperware money as mad money and vacation money. And I love that for them. And one of them, she even told me that when she pulls out the Tupperware card, her mom's like, oh, or her daughter's like, oh, mom's got the Tupperware card out. Ooh, oh, we're spending some Tupperware money, because they know that that's fun money, right? And so sometimes your Tupperware money can be the money for the extras. I knew somebody in the business that she started in Tupperware because she wanted to take dancing lessons. She wanted to learn how to salsa dance. And her husband's like, no, not doing it. It's not in the budget. You're not doing it. And she's like, watch me. And she started selling Tupperware so she could have money to take salsa lessons, right? So whatever it is, you make that decision, and you can decide what it is that you want to make money on purpose for, right? So if you were going to make money on purpose for something like a vacation or something extra, what would it be? Put that in the chat. All right. So I want to talk to you about, sometimes when I talk to some of the people on my team and I just have a small little chat with them about their business and all of that, one of the first things I ask them, and some of them could attest to this if they've had these conversations with me, is, what does success look like to you? Because it looks like something different to each and every one of us. Success to me does not look the same as it does for Loretta or Jenny or Nikki or Pam, right? Success to me does not look the same as it does for anybody else. And it doesn't look like the same as it does for you. So you need to figure out what success really looks like for you, right? So it's so important to really figure that out. So I came up with some questions for you, and I have a worksheet for you, right? So you don't have to write all these questions down. I'm going to read through them for you, and I want you to just start thinking about it. But I will post these questions. You can also print it up, right? So they're going to be available for you. But I really encourage you, after tonight, to really think about them, journal about them, whatever your process is, right? Meditate on them, whatever, like, doesn't matter. You can sit there and think, I'm a journaler, right? So I will sit down with a list like this and a notepad and paper, and I will do, and a pen, and I will just sit there and like kind of get into a space, and I will just start thinking and dreaming and like, what does this ideal situation look like for me, right? So I broke it down into the 4 pillars of success, and they are vision, schedule, which is so vitally important, because you know what? If you're working when you don't want to be working, you're not going to be having fun. And this business will get very old very quickly for both you and your family and loved ones. Trust in this, okay? The 3rd pillar is sales, and the 4th pillar is marketing and customers, okay? And they're just like 4-ish questions for each of these pillars. And you don't have to answer every single question. You're going to figure it out, right? So you might answer everything you need to do with the first question. So in the section with vision, what does success look like for you? Why did you, or why did you start, or why are you restarting your Tupperware business? Why is that? And maybe it's changed. And so what would make this feel like a worthwhile and rewarding part of your life? That's really important to know. If you're spending time away from your family, or you're investing your time, your valuable, valuable time that you can't get back, right? If you're investing that time, what's going to make it worthwhile to you? What are your income goals, weekly, monthly, annually? And what do you want how do you want your business to support your lifestyle or family, right? So the second pillar is the schedule, and how will this fit into your life? So how many hours each week do you want to work your business, right? I know some people that get so excited about the business, and they're like, and they have time, and they're like, I want to work more because I'm excited about it. When I get excited about something, like I'll say, yeah, I'm just gonna spend like 5 hours on it, and then 20 hours later, I'm like, where did the time go? Because I'm just so excited. And sometimes I find new consultants, I'll tell them, like, when they start digging into training that we have and stuff, I'm like, set a timer for yourself, because you will go down the rabbit hole, and you just like, the time just goes away from you. So set a timer for yourself, so you don't like let a whole day get away from you, and then you forget everything you learned because you're just overloaded, right? So let's see here. So what days and times work best for you to party, prep, and follow up? That's really important to schedule that time in. And also schedule it when you're at your best, your peak energy, right? When you're doing things like that, right? When you're at your peak energy. The dogs right now are at their peak energy. So they're doing this part very well, right? So they're like, I have an audience, and I'm going to run around right now, which is awesome. All right. So what does your ideal weekly routine look like with Tupperware in it, right? So what does that look like with Tupperware in it? And what time boundaries or personal time do you want to protect? What is important to you? Maybe it's a significant date night. Maybe it is your night around your church Bible study. Maybe it is this time that you have devoted to spend time with your children, like that time when they get off the bus, and you just have that one-on-one time with them for an hour or 30 minutes when they get off the bus, to give them a snack and sit down and have them download their day to you. Or maybe it's bedtime, whatever it is, make sure you protect that time. It's really important. You can't get it back. All right. So number 3 is sales. Where will your income come from? Where will your sales come from? Are you focused on in-home parties or virtual parties, or texting, like marketing, like email, texting your customers, sort of like sales here, not necessarily parties? Is that, you figure that out. You're designing your business, right? How many parties a week or month feel exciting and doable? It's funny because I always coach my people as like 6 parties in the first month, right? And then you can figure out from there if that's too much or too little, right? And then they can kind of go from there and figure out like, oh, that's really exciting and I could do more. Or they're like, whoa, my husband, right? And so, you just kind of figure that out, but you don't know until you try. And I remember the first time I heard, I'm sure it was probably Loretta Trini, and she said it's easier to do 2 parties a week than 2 parties a month. And I was like, how is that easier? And then I did it. I was like, oh yeah, way easier. Because you're already packed, you're in a rhythm, you got that stuff, you got you're good to go, and your head's there. And she was 100% right. And so you got to figure that out. What does that look like to you? What's that perfect sweet spot for you? How can you improve the party experience and get more sales and bookings? By having fun, like these dogs, right? So what are your favorite products to demonstrate and recommend? Because if you don't love the product, you're not going to sell it. They're going to see it, right? They're going to see it because, you know, the fridge marts, those are my top sellers. They have been for 17 years. Why? I love them. I absolutely love them. I think every household needs a fridge mart. So number 4 is marketing and customers. How will you attract and serve your people? So where are you currently finding new customers? Social media, events, referrals. What is your system for that too? That's really important. Which platforms do you enjoy using for your business? Facebook, Instagram, TikTok? What is it? So how will you stay connected to your customers after they order from you, right? What's your system? Do you funnel them into a VIP group? Do you use email marketing? Do you use text messages? Do you start a random list that you just like text from your personal phone? Like, what do you do? Right? You gotta have a system. And then last but certainly not least, what kind of experience do you want them to have when shopping with you? You design that experience. So you're in charge of that. So that you want them to have that experience so that they know you're their person, like you're 100% their person, and they know to come back to you to have that experience. So take a few minutes, you know, jot your thoughts down on this. There are no wrong answers. It's your business. And that's the best part is this is a jumping off point. This is not etched in stone, right? This is a starting point. So you can just kind of start working it and then you can keep tweaking it. You're like, yeah, I thought I wanted to do 2 parties a week because Ellen said it was easier, but it's really not for me. So I'm not doing that. That's okay. You know, that's totally okay. And you might find that if you're doing virtual, you might find doing, you know, 5 parties a week is your sweet spot, right? You might find doing them all in the same day works great for you because you're super good at just snapping that stuff out and you want to do it all in one day and that works great for you. Awesome, right? But you don't know until you try. And so the best thing is just to start and make a plan, start working it, and then you just keep tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it until you find the perfect plan for you.
All right. Thank